Hey everybody, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I'm here to share with you my 10 favorite layouts of 2017. I have created so many layouts and I really love so many layouts that I've created this year that this is actually going to be a 3-part series. So this one is for the hop that's going around. Everyone will be in the description box below, so make sure you see everybody's top 10. And then in the next following weeks, couple weeks, I'm going to do my top 10 favorites of Jackson and my top 10 favorites of Nora, because where I am in my scrapping is it's just happy. I'm happy with what I'm creating. I like it, and so there's a lot to share. So let's get right into it. For this year, I have a pretty decent mix here. Starting with this one, it is a scrap lift of one of my favorite scrapbookers, who is Crafty Maggie. She's a good friend. I talk to her almost daily, and she had created this really awesome layout of her son, and I scrap lifted her for a Spiegel Mom Scraps episode, and I was documenting how fast my pregnancy went with Nora. It was very, very fast, and so I wanted to be able to kind of document that, but in a fun, playful way. And I love this little string of stitching with sequins and some cork hearts and little bits of embellishment, but nothing overpowering. So I really love this, and I was using what I had left of my Journey collection from, was that crepe paper? So I really love the way that turned out. And then I created this. This is also Spiegel Mom Scraps. I have learned that some of my best work comes when I'm creating for my design team, because a lot of my favorites come from that. And this one is of all the snow we got in February, and I called it Snowmageddon because, as I've mentioned before, it's very abnormal to get so much snow where I live. We normally get a dusting. We actually have a little bit out right now, a couple days before Christmas, but to have this much snow, and we had like 5 snowstorms, it was just crazy. So I really wanted to be able to document that, and I have this little tag that kind of talks about, we had 32 centimeters. That's a lot of snow for us. So it just talks about that. I have multiple layouts about the snow event because it was just so crazy. But again, Spiegel Mom Scraps, so I have these fun little heart felt snowflakes with some sequins on top of them, and then I saw an idea where someone had a snowflake out of pattern paper, so I took a Christmas collection that I think was a couple years old or a year old or so, and I just created a snowflake with that because it had the pops of red to help match in with my son's jacket, because he had a bright red winter jacket last year. So I really, really like this one. And then it goes into, so January, February, and March. This was created, I think it was a series that I did for, I think I did 3 episodes of that series, and it was called 6 Degrees of Scraplifting. So you started with one person created a layout, and then she would pass it on to the next scrapbooker without the other ones knowing, and it's kind of like the foam game. And so I did that, and I had a lot of fun with that series. I did 3 episodes, like I said, and it was fun. And this is, I think, my very first episode with it, and I think I was the last person to go, if I remember correctly. So a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I love the way this turned out. So a little bit of Valentine's Day paper, some teals, which are my favorite. Frames are my favorite. I use these really fun paper clips, and I really love this. And this goes into an album that's about our family life and stuff. So this is kind of the opening page to that, about telling them, you know, be each other's friends as you grow up and all of that. So I just love this. I think it's really fun and playful, and yet simplistic and pretty, and these are some of my favorite shots of them back in the beginning part of the year. And this one, this is, because of the photo, is probably my favorite layout of the entire year. I love this photo. I'm going to actually get it blown up and framed on a canvas because I love it so much. But this is a scrap lift of Daisy Scraps. She had created this awesome, is it hexagon, I think. And I love it. So it's really simple because, of course, I want your attention to go to this photo. And so I just use scraps of pattern paper that I have. I did some stitching and then just them together, a little tiny cluster here and a few sequins. Really, really, really basic. Just talking a little bit of journaling there. It is backed with a little bit of tissue paper and a tiny, tiny bit of extra pattern paper, but that's it. I kept it very simple because, like I said, I really wanted to highlight this photo, and I think I did a good job with it. I really love this layout. It's just, this photo is so precious to me. I adore it. So there's that one. And then from simplistic and fun to wow, look at this. Again, this is a Spiegel Mom Scraps layout for the anniversary of Spiegel Mom Scraps. We were having some fun, and I think this was right before I switched into my second term with being a design team member, and so I thought it would be fun to go back to my very first layout I had ever created and scrap lift myself. So I went ahead and did that, and the layout was of my son, and I had done with this fun stencil a bunch of boy colors in it, and then my son was centered here and all of that. And so I just kind of re-scrap lift it with this fun photo of my daughter who looks kind of silly because she's half awake, half asleep, and her eye isn't fully closed, and it's kind of funny. But I like the photo of Sean and myself, and this was our first, Jackson refused to get in the photo, but this was our first kind of family photo with Nora. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about that. And we had gone to it was our first family outing, showing Nora off, so it was really fun, and I just wanted to have fun. And I love all the little bits and pieces and hidden things, and again I was using up some more felt and stuff and some girly stuff. Now that I have Nora, I got to do a lot more girly things, and I was kind of taking advantage of that. And then this was part of my 30 days of sketches in September. Every single day I did a layout based on a sketch. If you can always check back, and if you missed it, it was a pretty big thing. I got a lot of wonderful response about that. So much so that stay tuned, because January may be 30 days of sketches too. So come back in January if you enjoyed that series. But this is one of the layouts I had created with it, and I love this. Isn't it cute? It's a car selfie, and Jackson and I did a lot of these this year while waiting to go to school and all of that. And it was one of those things where I tend to get to places early, and so I would be like, before we rushed into, rush to wait sort of thing, I would be like, okay, now let's do our car selfie. And so we would do that in the morning. And it kind of just became our routine, and I did a lot of driving with him. So that's kind of what this is talking about. And I like it. Again, it's kind of simplistic, but there's lots of pops of colors because I use different pattern papers. But I really like it. I don't have journaling on this. I haven't added it. I meant to, and I didn't know where to put it, and so it doesn't have. But I guess not every layout has to have journaling. I'm a big journaler, so it's hard for me, but I like this one a lot as well. Okay, and then there's this one, which is definitely one of my favorites for sure, because this is the moment that Jackson saw Nora. So it's a very precious, precious layout, and I'm so happy my sister caught it. And you can see the reservation on Jackson's face. He's just kind of like, who is my mommy holding? And we were so lucky with how good he was with Nora when she was first born. So yeah, but this is just kind of talking about how this is our happily ever after. This is our family. We aren't having any more children. And I really wanted to be able to document how happy I was. So there's this one. This is also from my 30 days of sketches. Again, simplistic with pops of fun stuff going on. And my journaling. I got to use this beautiful floor I've kind of been hoarding, so I was excited about that. And I did some stitching, which I have been doing a lot of stitching on my layouts lately. This one is talking about, this was for a stash bash, and the goal was to use some 6x6 pattern papers. So I dug out my Valentine's Day collection, but I did it with photos that weren't Valentine's themed, was kind of my play on that and how I wanted to go about it. And what I am doing here is, this is a photo of Sean holding Jackson, rocking him to sleep, and this is him holding Nora, making her fall asleep. And when they were this age, which is, they're pretty young here, I would get so just tense and like, oh, they're not relaxing, right? You know, that's just the newborn phase. And so Sean would take them and just walk up and down the kitchen with them, and they would eventually fall asleep all peacefully. And so Daddy has that magic touch, and he can make them fall asleep. And so that's what this is about. And I really, really love this layout as well. Of course, because it's talking about their relationship, which is, I love how involved Sean is as a dad, and so I like to document it as much as possible. I've mentioned that a few times. So just a little bit of journaling with it. The way I had placed my 6x6 was just cutting little strips and stitching it together in a kind of fun pattern. The title that spreads across the one photo and then layering it into the next. So I like that, and I added a few takes. And this one, isn't this cute? Oh, she's so sweet. I think I probably love this layout mostly because of how adorable she looks in that. Oh, this isn't taped down. How adorable she looks in that little outfit right there. So that bunny outfit is actually one that was for my son for his first Easter. And I just simply reused it for Nora, but put a little hair bow in her, like a headband on her head, so that she looked a little more girly, although she's very girly anyways. So this again is from my 30 Days of Sketches. This was a sketch done by Susanna Lee, and I love the way this turns out as well. I have fun little tags and all this stuff. A little tiny title, no journaling again, but that's okay. And it's just sweet photos, some of my favorite pattern papers, and a little bit of mixed media. So I love it. And finally, I didn't do a lot of this size anymore. I've definitely gone away from it. I was obsessed with it in 2016, this 9x12, but it's really kind of faded out. I'm not really into it anymore. But I was able to create this layout, which I do really love, and it was for when I started. We did a little series, a bunch of my my scrappy besties, and of course I can't even remember what that series is called, but we all focused on the same theme, and it was really fun. And the first theme that we did was our other hobbies, and so I simply just had this fun photo of myself sipping on coffee, and drinking coffee is my other hobby. So I was kind of being tongue-in-cheek. I used some paint and an actual mug to make these fun little coffee rings, and then just kind of played around, again using up some of my favorite pattern paper I've been hoarding, and put my journaling in the coffee ring. So I love it. And if you couldn't kind of tell, my theme, white. I'm starting with white cardstock on a lot of them. It's kind of, I was trying to get away from it this year because I had done it a lot in 2016 too, and I did not manage to do it very well. There are a few layouts I've done with pattern paper, but most of them definitely start with white cardstock. So I think I'm just gonna embrace that next year and not even worry about it. But I do, every once in a while I get a few that have pattern paper backgrounds, but definitely my theme and my go-to apparently is to just start with a blank piece of white cardstock and go from there. So those are my 10 favorite layouts of 2017. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of my channel this year. I have a lot of exciting things coming up in 2018, so I hope that you will stay tuned. And be sure to keep on hopping through this YouTube hop. Everyone will be in the description below. Bye!